All right, I wanted to make a response to Doug DeMuro's video, which was a question from a viewer if Lincoln should make a Bronco-based G-Wagon competitor. And this is my wheelhouse because I drive and I'm sitting in a Lexus GX460, and I think this car is the key recipe to how Lincoln could pull this off. Okay, so Lincoln shouldn't make a Bronco based Lincoln. I think how they should go about this is use an existing product, kind of like what Lexus did, a successful product in other markets not known to the United States. The Lexus GX460 I'm sitting in is based on a Land Cruiser Prado, a very successful product globally, but not well known to the United States until very recently, sans the name Prado. So what I think Lincoln should do is take the Ford Everest, which is their SUV with an enclosed body, based on the Ranger platform, and bring it to the United States. Now, the changes that need to be made are very similar to what happened here. The interior on my Lexus GX460 is bespoke to it versus the Prado. The shell is identical, but what they did is change the headlights, the bumpers, the grills, tail lights, that kind of thing, and give it its own unique styling. This should also be based on Lincoln's other body-on-frame vehicle, which is the Navigator. Same thing with the interior. Interior should be based around the way the Navigator looks today. Of course, what they should do is give it the best powertrain available to this platform, and that is either the Raptor Bronco or the Raptor Ranger. Probably the Raptor Ranger because it's a little tamed down, not high strung, high performance. It would make more sense in a luxury vehicle. The other thing is give it all the bells and whistles that the Ford Motor Company has available for off-roading. And of course, this can vary from trim to trim, with one trim level being extremely off-road focused and some others not needing that and just being chilled out and just being a smaller, more city-oriented Navigator kind of thing. So 3.0 twin turbo V6 from the Raptor Ranger, front and rear locking differentials, disconnect sway bar, full-time four-wheel drive system, or the automatic four-wheel drive system, whatever they call it. And I have a name for this product that nobody else is thinking about. And we're going to reach into the recent past with Ford Motor Company, and we're going to use a Mercury name that is related to the Ford name that it's based on. We're going to call it the Lincoln Mountaineer. Now, the Mercury Mountaineer was a body-on-frame Explorer that was tarted up to be a Mercury. That was when the Explorer was a body-on-frame vehicle, and size-wise, it was below the Expedition, which is what the Navigator is based on. So, we're going to call it the Lincoln Mountaineer because it's based on a Ford Everest, named after the biggest mountain in the world. And we're going to give it the guts of a Bronco Raptor, but not necessarily the body shell and the look, because that doesn't fit a luxury car company. Now, why does this make sense for Lincoln? Lincoln has no precedent for this. People have brought up the fact that Lincoln has tried to make an F-150 fancy, and it didn't work for them. I think Lincoln needs this more than ever because they are a company that has fallen into obscurity with the general car buying public. People my age, in our 30s, we don't think about Lincoln. It's becoming that old man car company, and this could have the potential to change that because nothing is more hip right now than Broncos, Wranglers, 4Runners, Toyota Land Cruiser, Prados, and that off-road adventure-ready heritage, the butch look, But some of us that drive things like this in this very small category that only includes things like the G-Wagon, like maybe a Land Rover Defender, maybe even the Range Rover in some capacity. It does have off-road prowess. It's not a body-on-frame vehicle, but it's in the same size, and its mission is to be extremely luxurious, but have the off-road chops should it be necessary. Lincoln could make a smash hit with this Lincoln Mountaineer. And it could bring a lot of attention to the Lincoln brand that wasn't there before. And it could bring people into the Lincoln brand that never even considered it, like myself. I've considered some Ford product, and I would consider a Lincoln product should it have the basis for an adventure vehicle and have a renowned platform to work off of. And I think we could have a winner on our hands here. And it would be extremely easy for Ford to pull this off, even given the economic situation of our time. If Ford Motor Company were to just use the frames they're already building in the United States off the Ranger and the Bronco and simply shift the data package for that body shell over to the United States for production, and then manufacture the little bits that they could here, like the interior, the bumpers, headlights, taillights, that kind of thing, to transform this into an actual Lincoln product. I think this is the easiest way that this could be reasonably achieved. And that's my idea. I drive this car, and I often think, man, this is a really small segment I'm in. And sometimes I play with people in the mainstream cars because there's nobody else in this segment. G-Wagon drivers typically don't do this type of like adventuring off-roading stuff like I do with my GX460. But bringing a car that's a little more attainable than a G-Wagon, a Defender's somewhat attainable as well. It's kind of in the same price category, just below $100,000. I think the GX550 Overtrail that is focused on off-road starts at about 72. So this is kind of that ceiling I would see a Lincoln Mountaineer plan, is kind of overlap with the mid to higher end trims of the Bronco, and go further up the price range than even a Bronco. A Raptor being the exception. The Raptor is a high-strung, high-performance, like super truck kind of thing. So I wouldn't really necessarily consider it as far as where you're pricing this thing and what kind of value you're getting for your money. That's a totally different mission and totally different product than what we're looking at here, which is your daily driver, extremely comfortable, all your bells and whistles, but is tough as nails and ready to go on adventures, in style, basically. And I think the Everest has proved itself globally to be a very competent platform, and I think Ford has all the parts in its parts bin ready to build this thing. I think people just need to pose this idea, and hey, I'm willing to take a check from Ford Motor Company should they ever want to take this idea and run with it. I will get in touch with me in the comments or send me a DM, Ford Motor Company Lincoln, because I think this could be a winner, and it could really change Lincoln's trajectory here in the United States, and maybe even some envy from global buyers of Everest.